Update. I, 30 female, am sitting in the back of my RV as my husband, 32 male, rants about how lovely the trip would be if I hadn't joined him. Original post. Just a note, this is the first time that an issue like this has come up in our marriage, and I do not know what to do. I have been writing romance novels since I was in college. I was a relatively successful author, and I have made a living off selling my novels ever since. I do not make a lot of money, but I do bring home around $40,000 a year in book sales. This allows me to stay at home during the day so I can write and also make crafts to sell in my Etsy shop. A few years after college, I met Tim and we instantly hit it off. We dated for 3 years before tying the knot, and we bought a house shortly after. Tim makes living off his investments in stocks. However, we keep our finances separate. This is because Tim inherited a vast amount of money from his family, and before we married, I signed a prenup agreement in order to ease his mind. We both contribute an equal share to the joint bank accounts for bills. Then we use the remainder of our money for ourselves. About a year ago, I landed a contract to write part of a romance series. The contract was huge, and the payout was over $120,000 for a few months' work. I contributed my share to the joint account and then put the rest of the money into the bank so I could buy an RV. I have always wanted an RV because I love to travel, and nothing would make me happier than being able to write while on the road. Tim is often away on business for days at a time, so the RV would give me an opportunity to get out of the house while he's away. After 6 months of deciding, I chose a lightly used RV and purchased it from the owners for a great price. When Tim found out about the purchase, he was excited. He has a travel trailer, but it's not the same as an all-in-one RV. He loves RVs and wanted to immediately take it out for a trip across the state. We took our trip and Tim couldn't stop talking about how much he enjoyed the experience. And he started talking about taking more trips together. I gently reminded him that even though the RV is a fun thing for us to have for vacations, that its main purpose is for me to have something to do while he is away for business, but that we would be taking plenty of vacations together. Tim agreed with me and let it go for a while. The thing is, in the past few weeks, Tim has been badgering me about taking the RV with him on his business trips. He usually flies when he goes to check his rental property/visit family, and he's normally gone for 4 to 5 days at a time. We got into an argument because he had to evict a tenant and he wanted to drive the RV across the state in order to do so. I asked him if I could come along, and Tim said he would prefer if I didn't. I then said that if I couldn't come with him, then he couldn't take my RV. I suggested that he'd take his travel trailer instead, and he got mad and stormed out of the house. About an hour later, he started texting me like nothing had happened. And then he said he was taking the RV as if our previous conversation had never happened. I called him and tried to explain that he had just purchased a brand new pickup, and that if I didn't get to drive his new truck in his absence, why should he get to take my RV when I'm not coming on the trip? Tim and I went back and forth, and eventually he said I could come along if it meant that much to me. I said I would, and now I'm regretting everything. I'm sitting in the back of my own RV with a man who won't let me touch the wheel. It has been 3 days since this trip has started, and all Tim has done is rant about how awesome the RV trip would be if I weren't with him. It has made me question everything in our marriage, from how we split our finances to how we argue and function together. This is the first time that anything like this has ever happened, and I don't know what to do in this situation. He is still ranting as I type this, and he's never done that before either. Now for the top advice before reading the update. There is no way these issues are about an RV and a pickup truck. You should get yourselves to a marriage counselor so you two can get the bottom of whatever your real issues are. Counseling is worth a try, but I don't know if he would be a willing participant at this point. I have never heard him be passive-aggressive like this before. Usually he is brutally honest about his feelings. If I can find a good time to suggest it, I will. But if that moment never comes, I'm probably going to leave. And as I typed this comment, I realized that I have been walking on eggshells around him, and that's not fair at all. He sounds like a selfish brat who's had everything handed to him in life and can't tolerate being told no. He won't go to therapy because he doesn't want to hear harsh truths. When you try to talk to him, he's going to try to invalidate your feelings, but don't let him. You aren't in the wrong. Tim is a prick. He was fine not sharing when he had nicer stuff, but now that you have something nicer, he gets pissy that you won't share. He really just sounds like a selfish a-hole. Yeah. The most charitable interpretation I can come up with is that nobody ever taught this dude how to share. The less charitable interpretation is that nobody taught him to share, and he has weird hang-ups about control and women making money. Wow, your financial setup is kind of awful. It's one thing for a person with a lot of money in accounts to want to have a prenup to ensure that they don't lose that, or someone who owns an established business or significant assets. That makes sense to me. But when one partner is rich and the other is making a normal living, it seems wrong to me that the rich partner wouldn't want their spouse to have a higher standard of living while they are married. Your husband does sound like a prick. There is no way in hell you should be paying half of the expenses if your income is way less. He is a selfish bastard. Why didn't he buy himself an RV, since he can probably do that without batting an eye? Seriously, I see situations often on this sub where a large inheritance can be a real negative in terms of a person's suitability for marriage, as it makes them paranoid and unwilling to share, where a normal person with a normal working life should be more generous and approach finances with a spirit of togetherness. At least you would have the right to expect that they would. I didn't mind signing the prenup because, like you said, he had significant assets he wanted to protect. It only covers the funds he had before he entered the marriage. Everything after the marriage is split. Your insight is very valuable because you're right. It's not as if I do not bring home money or that I don't have a job. I split everything I have with him, but he has been unwilling to share with me. Edit. Hey guys, I have read all your comments and advice. I don't know what I'll do yet, but I will update later. I've read all of your messages and I've got limited internet right now. A few of you were concerned for my safety and I just wanted to let you all know I'm fine. I plan on confronting him later today. And now for the update. I promised I would update, but things got very hectic and this is the first chance I have gotten. This whole situation makes me very emotional, so please forgive me if this post is not as coherent as I would like it to be. When I posted my first post, we were on the road in the RV and my husband was giving me the cold shoulder while he complained about me from the driver's seat. You all had some great advice for me about what I should do, and I listened to a few people who suggested that he might be cheating on me. Tim had left his iPad in the back of the RV to charge while he drove. I'm not proud of this, but I was able to sneak his iPad into the bedroom while he was distracted by the road. He was logged into his email account and I quickly skimmed over his inbox, but I didn't find anything suspicious. I then had the idea to check his sent folder and found out that he had been chatting up his ex from college. It made me sick to my stomach to read the messages, but luckily they had not yet been physical. Translated from the chat speak, the message he had sent his ex was basically, "I can't wait to get my hands on you. It's been years since I felt that mouth. I'm excited." I was disgusted, but I tried to keep calm. We were on the road headed to another state and we planned on stopping at his mother's house. I knew that if his messages were in the sent folder, that meant that he had deleted them. Tim was not planning on being caught and was trying to hide his tracks. He wanted my RV so that he could take his ex around the state and have fun without leaving a credit card trace. I took photos of the emails and sent them to myself in order to preserve the evidence. I then went back to the front of the RV and acted as if everything was fine. I apologized, don't worry, I lied, for how I had acted and suggested that we ask his mom to help us work through this. Tim said that he was sorry too and that he accepted my apology. He said he was looking forward to using the RV in the future and that he was glad I had come to see reason. I smiled and nodded, but on the inside, I was cursing his existence. We made it to his mom's house and I made up an excuse about having to change because my clothes were wrinkled. Tim went inside without me, and I started throwing all of his clothes and belongings into a trash bag. I then went inside a house, and Tim was sitting with his mom in the kitchen. He asked me what I was doing with the bag, and I told him that I was giving him his clothes so that I could leave. Tim then got angry and asked me what the heck was I doing, and his mom was simply confused. She asked me what was going on, and I told her, I'm not sure myself. I'm waiting for Tim to explain why he was planning to cheat on me with his ex. Tim's mom then started to cry and yell at Tim while he tried to calm her down. I know Reddit does not have a lot of love for religion, but Tim's mother is a fundamentalist. She had loved me from the minute Tim introduced me to her, and it would be an understatement to say that she was very upset with her adulterous son. Tim never tried to apologize to me. Instead, he chased after his mother saying he was sorry to her. This made her cry harder because she knew that he wasn't even trying to make amends with me. He was just apologizing to her. She hugged me and told me to just go home and she would handle her son. I thanked her and took the RV keys from Tim. This ended up being a minor wrestling match and left. I drove home crying, but at least I got rid of my a-hole ex-husband. Tim called me the next day and begged me to come back to him. He said it was all a mistake, that he was sorry. I asked him why he didn't apologize at his mother's house, why he didn't say he was sorry when I was handing him his bag. I told him that he didn't care about cheating on me, that all he cared about is how bad it made him look to his family. He tried to explain himself, but I cut off and hung up. I blocked him on all social media and haven't heard anything since. I've gotten a lawyer and have already started the divorce process. Ouch. Silver lining in this is now you have the RV to yourself and can find a better partner in the future. I'm also glad his mother took your side and was upset with him for cheating. You should definitely keep her in your life after the divorce. Yep, I'm going to have a blast driving around without him. And the bonus is that I don't have to pay for a hotel. I love his mom, and I'm so happy she defended me. She's such a no-nonsense person, and I hope I find out what she did with him. You handled it like such a boss, that the only thing left to do is to speculate on this. She beat the living daylights out of him is what happened. Lol. Wow, complex feelings on this one. There's the ouch, that's awful, but also an overwhelming but thank God she's getting the heck away from that a-hole. I was concerned that you might stay with him for another year or two until the marriage gave his last gasp. This is surely painful, but cleaner. And you haven't ever got to think about the other woman being in your RV. Finding out he was cheating made it an easy decision. It was like, okay, he's cheating on you and he doesn't give a damn. You don't have to give a damn now either. It would be much, much harder if he was simply being an a-hole. Luckily, he made a choice for me. I'm glad he cheated on me. It doesn't sound like it would be true, but it is. The clarity just simplifies life so much. With me, it was when I hitchhiked, during a snowstorm, on my birthday, to bring my separated husband the house key he had given our son because he had locked himself out of his apartment. His response? I suppose I have to drive you home now. You think? Thank you. That was a birthday gift after all. When I read your first story, I thought, he wants it so he won't leave a credit card trail. I guess I was right. What a sorry fool he is. I'm sorry it turned out this way, but I'm glad you kicked him out and talked to a lawyer. Screw him. Thank you. You're right. Screw him. Now for the last story. Girlfriend 24 female wants to move in together and wants me, 24 male, to fully financially support her through her 4-year PhD program. I refused because I want her to pay her fair share of rent and bills. My girlfriend and I got together in our last year of uni and have been together for about a year now. We both graduated this year and got our masters in our respective fields. I have recently started my first job as an engineer and doing great so far. My girlfriend graduated with a degree in biology and applied for a PhD program her last semester. She got the great news that her application for a 4-year program got accepted, so she will be starting off her career doing research. I'm currently living on my own in a small 1-bedroom apartment. It's definitely not the best, but it's good enough for one person and I can deal with it. It's pretty affordable compared to other places in our city and allows me to actually start saving up for a house later down the line. My initial plan was to continue to endure living here so I don't waste too much money on rent and can save up until I can eventually buy my own place. My girlfriend has been living with a couple of roommates for the past few years. My girlfriend brought up the idea of the both of us moving in together. She wants us to find a bigger apartment in our city and live there for the duration of her PhD program. I was honestly not expecting this from her so soon, but I wasn't opposed to it at first, and it actually seemed like the right next step in our relationship. But she then told me that I would have to pay for all the rents and bills, because her income doing research would be very low, and I would be making way more than her, and that she also has to start paying off her massive student loan debt. I told her that I would want to split our rent and utilities by percentage of our income, so that we would be both contributing equally according to our income. She responded that as her partner, I should be willing to support her in her career, and that paying for rent would be my way of helping her. I straight up told her that this is not what I wanted, and that we should either move in together and contribute equally or not move in at all. This turned into a huge argument where she said that I wasn't a supportive boyfriend for not helping her with her career, and me saying that we should be contributing equally. We have now not talked to each other for almost 2 days. This definitely threw me off. When it comes to relationships, I view them as an equal partnership on all fronts, whether that's financial or domestic affairs. Apart from some money I have saved up for my part-time job during college, I pretty much have no savings now and want to start building up my life. So I definitely won't be paying rent and utilities for anybody else if they aren't contributing themselves, even if it's my girlfriend. If I got a new, bigger place and moved in with my girlfriend while having to pay for everything, I would not be able to save up nearly as much and would be holding myself back for 4 years. I think that if she isn't willing to contribute financially, we're better off not moving in at all. How do you guys think we can resolve this issue between the both of us? Now for the advice. You've only been dating a year. No way I'd do this. Too much chance that you find her PhD and then she dumps you when she's done. Actually, I wouldn't recommend anyone moving in together after only 1 year, but especially just so one can support the other. Even if Opie agreed, he would harbor so much resentment in those 4 years. I don't think any amount of intimacy, cuddling, etc. could make up for the 40-plus hour work weeks Opie would have to do to support both of them. That actually happened to a friend of mine. She funded his PhD, then 2 weeks after he was done, he dumped her. She never really got over it. A friend of mine supported her husband while he studied. He graduated and got a new shiny wife in his profession. Yep, and those are the people who say, I did this by myself. It's not my fault you didn't go to school or advance in your career. I need somebody who can participate with me 50-50. I need somebody who's on my level. After you did 9 to 5, just to help them survive so that they could focus on their dreams. And then they possibly tell their next spouse that she needs to give up on her career so they can play a more supporting role. Like, you had that, but it wasn't good enough. You could have had what you wanted if you just accepted what you had.